So it's the first session, and we are going to start data science journey or the data science sessions. Usually, whenever we have data science sessions, we start out with a story. Okay, and today's session we are going to start out with the story of Florence Nightingale, who was really a pioneer in healthcare industry. Okay, she's also known as the lady with the lamp. She was a nurse during the Crimean War in 1950s. Sorry, in 1850s. What she wanted to do was she wanted to build an evidence-based system oh, which can improve the hospital systems during a war. And for that, she started out her own journey of collecting the data and everything 1 year during the war, and also a year after the war. I mean, during the war. So all the data that she collected was during the war. She was in a hospital which is now located somewhere in Istanbul, but at that time it was in Constantinople and other places nearby. Uh, Being a woman and being a nurse, she was facing many difficulties in gathering the data, but she eventually was able to gather the data and prove something. All right. And the thing that she was trying to prove is summarized in this particular plot. Now, this plot is called as a rose diagram. And in this rose diagram, you see three colors: blue, red, and black. Blue color basically means diseases because of which people are dying and they can be prevented. So, some preventable diseases because of which the deaths are happening. Red is deaths due to the wounds. War में wounds होते हैं, तो people will die. Okay, and black is due to other causes which are not known. The way you read this particular chart is from right side to the left side. Okay, so first let me zoom into this. It's straightforward. But- So this plot is from 1854 to 1855, 1 year. Okay, so you start from here and you go clockwise like this. Okay, 1854, 1855, sorry, 1854 April, May, June, July. Okay, as you can see here, when June, July, September, October, and all of these months start, this is when really the winter also starts, and the war was also at the peak. The sizes of blue, uh, uh, the size of the blue pies that you see here are increasing slowly, slowly. Okay, which basically is trying to tell you that these were number of people who are dying only because of the preventable diseases, and you can prevent them. You can basically save these people. At this point in January 1855, uh, if people are dying at this rate, then there won't be any soldiers left to even have the war. Within a year, everyone is going to die. Basically, all the soldiers are going to die at this particular rate. So what she decided was she's going to make some changes in the hospital itself. So the first change that she was trying to make was improve the sanitary habits in the hospital, such as washing all the uh, clothes that are used to clean the wounds. After that, keeping things clean, keeping the beds clean, making sure every anything that was used to clean a wound, or anything that was used for an operation, is cleaned and boiled and used reused later, instead of just reusing it directly. And using these, or only making the smaller changes, as you go on the left side, this is the year of 1855 to 1856. The sizes of the blue are reducing here. So you see this big size of blue here, which is basically trying to tell these many people of, or the hundreds of people are dying here, as compared to here in the April 55, May, June, and then all the way until November. You can see that the number of people who are dying have reduced. In fact, the number of people who are dying due to the wounds are proportional to the number of people who may be dying due to the preventable diseases. That did not remove it completely, but the number of deaths were reduced by a lot. Okay, and Nightingale also went ahead and wrote many books, many articles about it. She is one of the pioneers in the healthcare industry. And remember, this is 1855, when there was no technology, when there was data collection happening on pen and paper, and she was able to create this particular impactful report, or this particular thing, which is also followed in hospitals even today. Even today, all the hospitals follow, sanitary practices that were developed at that time, which is pretty cool. So that's her in 1855. Keeping that story in back of the mind, let's get started with our journey of data science. We'll try to understand why the data science has risen in the recent years. Okay? हम लोग बहुत पहले से तो नहीं सुनते आ रहे हैं, but recently in last 10 years or 15 years we have started thinking, in fact the companies have started thinking a lot about the data and data science in general. What is the reason of this? First, why is there this sudden rise? First reason is the explosion of data. The data that is being collected, or the data that is being generated on social media or by the sensors, even if there's a production line, sensors वगैरह होते हैं जो data collect करते हैं, online transactions होते हैं in billions and billions. Okay, so on an average daily 200 zettabytes of data is getting created, which is 10 to the power 21 bytes. Okay, if you want to put it in the perspective, 40 billion HD movies every day, which is a lot of movies and a lot of data. Okay, so the data has exploded, the creation of data has exploded, and because of the creation of data has exploded, uh, there was also a need to analyze this data and try to find out what is this data hiding underneath. Okay, obviously the data itself is just information which is placed on a drive, लेकिन जब तक उसके अंदर से इंफॉर्मेशन या फिर कोई नॉलेज एक्सट्रैक्ट नहीं किया जाता, तब तक वो डेटा डेटा ही है. There is no meaningful thing in that data yet, until and unless there's a machine learning engineer, data scientist, or a data analyst who is extracting that information and presenting it. There have also been advancement in computing power and also storage capacities. पहले storage capacities उतने नहीं थे, storage भी महंगा था, computing power भी महंगी थी, but now the computing power has reduced. Oh, sorry, the computing power has advanced. The cost of computing has also reduced. The storage cost has also reduced, which makes working with data also cheaper. There have also been many open source tools and libraries such as Python, R, and Java. Also, there are some libraries. You have Open Data, you have OpenAI. So there are many open source tools, open source libraries, open source companies, in fact, which are working towards this one particular goal of improving the data science, or improving the uh, data, improving the way we look at the data. Businesses have understood that they have to be competitive. They need to get more and more data savvy. So if there's any business, especially if there's a company which is still using the old techniques, still storing data in Excel, still storing data in Access DBs, you'll see them migrating towards something which is more advanced. Okay, migrations are happening pretty rapidly and also pretty fast. In fact, there are many companies जिनका काम सिर्फ इतना होता है कि ओल्ड टेक्नोलॉजी से नए टेक्नोलॉजी पे किसी भी कंपनी को मूव करने में हेल्प करना, एंड दे मेक मिलियंस इन दैट, right? So they provide basically migration services. So businesses have also understood that in order to have that competitive advantage, they need to start looking at the data, start collecting more and more data. If you imagine the amount of data that is collected, जब हम लोग किसी वेबसाइट पे जाते हैं, even the mouse movements are captured these days. Okay, for example, if I move my mouse and mouse over on one of the places of this particular website, that basically is trying to tell me that I am more my attention is towards that particular area. So if my attention is in that area, maybe put something which is uh, hot on that particular area, right? So maybe put an advertisement there, maybe put something which can generate more and more revenue, correct? So things like these are also getting captured every day, which was not happening earlier. uh, Also there's AI and automation. Especially automation is क्रिएटिंग अ लॉट ऑफ डेटा। जब हम लोग प्रोडक्शन सिस्टम्स देखते हैं या फिर किसी भी इंडस्ट्री में जाके चेक करते हैं कि जहाँ पे प्रोडक्शन लाइंस वगैरह होते हैं, वहाँ पे सेंसर्स बहुत सारे होते हैं, ठीक है, हर प्रोसेस में सेंसर्स होते हैं। और वो सेंसर क्या कर रहे हैं, डेटा कलेक्ट करते जा रहे हैं एट एवरी मिली सेकेंड्स के ड्यूरेशन पे, सेकंड्स के ड्यूरेशन पे, मिली सेकंड्स के ड्यूरेशन पे। ओके, so that automation also has led to creation of lot of data. And because the data is collected, the data itself is going to have a lot of information in it, and the analysis of data is very important in that sense. So overall, the rise of data science is responsible to increasing the is mainly responsible. The rise is mainly because increasing the availability of the data, complexity of the data, and advanced technologies that we have around us. डेटा सिर्फ मतलब जो डेटा आप कलेक्ट कर रहे हो सिर्फ सिर्फ और सिर्फ सिंपल डेटा बड़ा नहीं है, इन टर्म्स ऑफ अगर टेक्स्ट डेटा नहीं बढ़ा है, देयर इज आल्सो कॉम्प्लेक्स डेटा दैट इज बीइंग एडेड एवरी डे, correct? So even for that, there are some complex technologies, or there are some advanced technologies and advanced tools that can help us make sense out of the data. Can you think of anything else apart from these reasons? Yes, guys. Can you think of any other reasons apart from these listed here? Can be anything. Yeah. मोर एंड मोर ऑफलाइन सर्विसेज बिकमिंग ऑनलाइन, करेक्ट? पहले अगर हम लोग देखते थे बैंक्स वगैरह में ऑफ बुक के ऊपर सारे ट्रांजैक्शंस वगैरह लिख के जाते थे. आफ्टर दैट वी मूव्ड ऑन टू द ऑनलाइन सिस्टम्स. मोर एंड मोर ऑनलाइन systems are coming up. People are moving away from offline systems to online systems. What else could be rise, especially rise of, if you think what is going to uh, be the reason to rise in data, that's also going to be the reason of rise of data science. Okay, anyways, let's carry on. So from last 20 years or so, many companies have started to invest uh, in their ability to capture the data even more accurate and in detail. So अगर पहले कंपनी सिर्फ और सिर्फ ट्रांजैक्शंस कैप्चर करती थी, but now they have also started capturing more information of the transactions, कि transactions क्यों हो रहा है, कहाँ हो रहा है, और फिर उसके बाद में what is the reason of the transaction, all of those details are getting captured now. अगर आप सोशल मीडिया पे जाओगे, not just the clicks but also the mouse movements, but also the time that you're spending on the social media, that is getting that is also getting captured these days. So more and more data is getting captured, and they're also becoming more and more accurate, correct? Sometimes it may happen कि आप सिर्फ सोच रहे हो that you want to get this product, and even if you're thinking and you have not searched about it, you suddenly start seeing advertisements about it. So it has got to a it has got to a place where it can basically predict the way people think, correct? uh, the data we are talking here is not just limited to the company, but the data can also be from outside. There are some companies who provide external data, okay? जिनका काम सिर्फ इतना ही होता है कि वो डेटा प्रोवाइड करते हैं. There's Mootly.com, which provides financial data, and then then there are leads information, such as if you go on India Mart, all of that, right? All of these are leads data. So they are just trying to share or ship the data to anyone who is looking for it. Okay. पॉलिटिकल इंफॉर्मेशन भी है, न्यूज के कंपनीज है बहुत सारे जो डेटा आपको शेयर कर सकते हैं, करेक्ट? सो इट इज नॉट जस्ट कंपनी के अंदर का डेटा, बट कंपनी के बाहर वाला भी डेटा भी कलेक्ट करके कंपनीज यूज कर रहे हैं खुद के प्रोडक्ट को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए. तो अगर हम लोग एग्जांपल देखते हैं कुछ जो डेटा हमारे पास कलेक्ट हो रहा है, फेसबुक का है, न्यूज चैनल्स का है, प्रोडक्शन लाइंस का है, स्टॉक मार्केट्स का डेटा है. सो ऑल ऑफ दीज डिफरेंट लोकेशंस डेटा कलेक्ट हो रहा है आपका. ओके. ये क्यों कर रहे हैं कलेक्ट? जो कंपनीज होते हैं उनका गोल एक ही होता है, विच इज टू मेक मोर मनी, एंड विच इज टू इम्प्रूव द products that they have in the market. correct? It's a open market. That means anyone can come in and compete. All right. So in order to be in the competition, they have to make good products. In order to make good products, they have to collect more and more data. They have to keep improving, and they have to have a competitive advantage. वो टारगेटेड मार्केटिंग कर सकते हैं, ऑनलाइन एडवर्टाइजिंग कर सकते हैं, रिकमेंडेशंस हो सकती है क्रॉस सेलिंग के लिए। क्रॉस सेलिंग के रिकमेंडेशंस का मतलब क्या है? अगर आप वॉलमार्ट में जाते हो, सॉरी, अगर आप रिलायंस मार्ट में जाते हो और वहां पर अगर आपको इसके ऊपर वो फ्री मिल रहा है, राइट? सो दैट दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स आर बेसिकली क्रॉस सेलिंग डील्स. And obviously companies are focusing more and more to exploit the data to get the competitive advantage. वो statisticians को hire करते हैं, modelers को hire करते हैं, analysts को hire करते हैं, only because they want to make sense out of the data. In fact, they also hire these people to understand what kind of data should be collected, correct? So a data scientist or data analyst not just tries to get information from the data, but his job is also to go and tell the management or go and tell the engineering team that ये डेटा कलेक्ट नहीं हो रहा है, आई नीड दिस पर्टिकुलर डेटा, सो यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट अ वे टू कलेक्ट दिस पर्टिकुलर डेटा. फिर वो डेटा कलेक्शन अलग अलग मेथड्स में होते हैं. कभी सर्विस भेजे जाते हैं, कभी डेटा कहीं और से कैप्चर किया जाता है. अगर ऑनलाइन सिस्टम होगा तो फिर उसको कैप्चर करने के लिए टैग्स इंट्रोड्यूस किए जाते हैं, करेक्ट? सो दैट एवरीथिंग also comes under the radar of data scientist or a data analyst. Any doubts, any questions? समझ में आ रहा है? How is the pace? Is it fast? Is it slow? Can I get some feedback from you all?
It's okay, Ashok.
It's okay? Okay.
Yeah.
We can go faster?
Let
Okay.
the other audience also give the response.
Okay. What about others? All right. Cool. So we'll continue the same pace and we'll see how far we get today. So here are some companies listed, and then there's a second column which basically is trying to tell you how much percentage of the personal information is being collected. More the personal information the company collects, more they know about you, more they know about your personal. Uh, okay, we'll keep the same percentages. Okay. सो ये कंपनीज यहाँ पे लिस्टेड है, और ये कंपनीज क्या कर रहे हैं, कितना डेटा कलेक्ट कर रहे हैं, उसके बारे में यहाँ पे स्टैटिस्टिक्स लिखा हुआ है. जैसे कि फेसबुक ऑलमोस्ट 71% आपकी पर्सनल इन्फॉर्मेशन कलेक्ट करता है. पर्सनल इन्फॉर्मेशन में क्या आता है? अभी आपके ईमेल एड्रेस, नेम, एज, जेंडर, सेक्सुअल ओरिएंटेशन, marital status, religious belief, okay, your live location, your hobbies, interest, height, weight, uh, who is your family, who are your family members, what is your mother's name, what is your current employer, what is your salary, your social profile क्या है, आपके friends कौन कौन है, उसके friends के कितने hobbies है, उनके friends के कितने interests हैं, city of birth क्या है, country of birth क्या है. So all of these are basically personal information, and we happily share this information on the social media, right? uh, Now there are pros and cons to it. Sometimes this information is used to improve the quality of content that you see, correct? फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर आप फेसबुक पे जाते हो, अगर आपके फ्रेंड्स ही नहीं है कोई, अगर आपका सोशल नेटवर्क ही नहीं है कोई, देन फेसबुक डजंट नो what to what to suggest you. It will just try to suggest some random things, and it is going to make you as a customer not feel good about it, because now you're on Facebook, you're expecting something, and that expectation is not getting fulfilled, correct? So for that, you have to feed in some information into the system. Once you feed some information into the network is going to use that information to give you the recommendations. It can be relevant recommendations, it can be recommendations about your social network, correct? So once they have that information, they can also use it for marketing. Obviously Facebook is not the free service. I mean, it's free to use it, but in addition to the service that is free for you, they try to collect information about your attention, and they try to sell advertisements to you, करेक्ट? जब आप फेसबुक पे जाते हो तब आपको एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स दिखते हैं बीच बीच में, ऑलराइट? And that advertisements are basically from how they make money. So when you click on an advertisement, they make money. If you don't click, you don't make money. So showing that advertisement itself is also expensive. The ad spaces are expensive, depending on what type of hashtags are used and all of that. Many companies create campaigns on media networks so that they can get these many number of people into their network and so on. So यहाँ पर companies के नाम है Facebook, Instagram, Tinder, Grindr, there's Uber, Strava, Tesco. So you may know some of these. Netflix, correct? So as you can see here, how much data is each company collecting? Obviously, this is not limited to these companies only. There's more companies like this who are also collecting. These are just some examples. Okay, what do you think is it good idea to collect all of this information, or is it good idea to share all of this information? Do you feel any concerns? What do you guys think?
There is leak of privacy data.
What if the company says
Personal
that
data.
your privacy data is not going to be shared with anyone, and it is only going to stay with company? Would you still be comfortable sharing all the information with them?
Still not. Personal
Still
level,
not.
you know.
Mhm. Right. So it all it all boils down to how comfortable the end user is sharing the information, right? Because the data is yours, the information is yours. Once you share that information on the social media, now it is no longer yours. It's on the social media,
Mhm.
right? So there have been some privacy concerns, there have been some ethical concerns, and there are also some uh, rules that are being created, especially in Europe. But even with those rules, there are going to be many companies who are going to exploit it, because everyone would try to follow the rules, but on paper, but not everyone is going to tell that they're trying to exploit it in some manner, right? And if they don't do that, they're not going to make any money. So what else? What do you guys think? For example, Netflix. If you do not watch movie on Netflix, if you do not give any feedback to Netflix, Netflix cannot suggest you anything, correct? The type of feedback, it's not always explicit feedback. Okay, कि explicitly आप जाके वहां पे like नहीं कर रहे हो मूवी पे. Just an example. When you watch the movie and you watch the movie from start to end, Netflix algorithm assumes that as a feedback, and it says this is an implicit feedback. That means this particular person has watched the movie. Why does someone watch a movie? Because the person is liking the movie, right? So there is an implicit feedback, which means if you're liking this movie, then these are some other movies which are similar to the movie that you have recently watched. Maybe you like these two, correct? So the recommendation system basically work like that. It sounds a little bit complex, but trust me, it's much simpler than that. Once you have the data and you format the data in correct uh, manner and rows and columns properly, even you will be able to look at the data and tell, okay, looking at this particular row, I think this new user should be recommended this new product. Okay? Now, when you look at the data, 10, 20 rows, it's easy to do it manually. But when you have millions of users, millions of products, it becomes very difficult. Correct? उस वक्त आपको system से use करने पड़ते हैं, recommendation systems mainly. What are the good things of sharing all of this information on social media? Can someone think of anything apart from the ones that I've shared? कुछ अच्छा हो रहा है इसकी वजह से by sharing all this information? Yeah.
Sometimes we get notifications like, for example, I was searching for some news. So
Mhm.
without going to the Google, I get notification that what is the current affair regarding politicals or regarding the share markets. So this type of feeds we automatically get, for example, in our Facebook without searching.
Correct. And that is based on your earlier actions, correct? Based on your
Yeah.
earlier actions, based on your earlier the interactions, वो आपको रिकमेंडेशन सजेस्ट करते हैं या फिर वो आपको नोटिफिकेशन सेंड कर सकते हैं,
Yeah.
which makes your life easier. What else could be good things that are happening around because of social media or because of data being collected?
Let's say, sir, if we take the example of the e-commerce website, and if I want to buy the some laptops of like let's say particular brand of HP and all these things, so if I search with that on the e-commerce website, so that website will recommend me for all other companies laptop also, which I have given the filters in that budget range. So that
Mhm.
will be the beneficial for us to get a various options in the e-commerce website.
You get to explore more and more options.
Yeah.
You also get to see some of the reviews there, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So when someone writes a review, what they're putting out there is information, correct? And that information is useful for someone who is new and trying to buy this. Earlier, अगर आपको लैपटॉप खरीदना होता, you would go to a shop. The shopkeeper will tell you that this is a new laptop, these are the reviews, and you have to trust the shopkeeper, correct?
Right.
But now suddenly you have this social network which is trying to give you a feedback about that particular product, which makes you to make better decisions, correct?
Yes. Right. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. What else? What else are the good things that you see around you because of the data being collected or because of the data? आप किसी भी लैंग्वेज में बता सकते हो, okay? It's not necessary कि आप इंग्लिश में ही बताओ. I just want everyone to speak. Yes. Others? Let's take two more examples. Okay. Who wants to speak? Anyone? जब हम लोग हॉस्पिटल्स में जाते हैं, ओके, अर्लियर जो हॉस्पिटल्स में इंफॉर्मेशन स्टोर की जाती थी या फिर जब आप डॉक्टर के पास जाते थे, तो वो डॉक्टर के पास इंफॉर्मेशन सिर्फ और सिर्फ लिमिटेड होती थी, करेक्ट? उनके पास आपने पहले जितने भी टेस्ट किए होंगे वो टेस्ट के आपके पास हार्ड कॉपीज होती थी और वो हार्ड कॉपीज लेके जाके आप दिखाते थे, and based on that the doctor would try to understand your history. But now the history is all digitized, right? The data is all collected, which helps the doctors to also make more informed decisions. Now these are very important decisions because we are talking about life and death here, correct? So that is another improvement because of data being collected. Now obviously all of this data can also be used in other ways, but let's hope it's not being used. We assume that it's not being used, and will you may say that it's for betterment of us. Okay, what could be the other reasons? What could be the other examples? We have location services, right, which is a big uh, example around us. Imagine having a physical map and trying to search for something out. Would you be able to locate things with a physical map now? Imagine in the earlier days when there was no GPS or when there was no maps, digital maps, how would people be navigating? Pretty difficult to navigate, right? But now that you have maps where things are being updated every day, the maps are being made accurate every day. The more changes that are done, the more real time changes are also added to the maps. आपको ट्रैफिक के बारे में पता चलता है, correct? You get to know about the distances. So all of this information that was collected and stored in a particular place so that everyone can benefit, and everyone's time is also saved. No one is, so the time that you save can be used for other things. Okay, that's another example. All good till here? Yes, no? Let's think about some of the cons now. What could the issues be? We'll start with the maps example itself. Issue of sharing all the information, sharing your location, sharing your uh, privacy, everything. It's going to open up the problems. Like if you start sharing your information, such as your location and all of that, this basically is trying to invade into your private places, and it becomes very difficult sometimes to even uh, push people away once they know your live location and all of that. So that's a security concern. So in fact बहुत सारे maps जो होते हैं वो मिलिट्री एरियाज या फिर जो सेंसिटिव एरियाज होते हैं वहां पर का डेटा वो देता नहीं है पूरा. इट इज नॉट accurate or the data is not at all shared. Okay, the reason being because of the privacy concerns or because of that information being highly classified and it should not be out there anyways, correct? We also see many bank frauds around us. That bank fraud is nothing but the reason because people are not understanding the systems properly. Maybe the pace at which the development is happening is not at the pace at which the people are able to catch up, right? So you see many bank transactions, fraud transactions happening around us and all of that. Okay, so keeping all that in mind, let's continue. And the first topic that we are going to learn is what are the different types of analytics. Okay, we'll take some examples and then we'll stop for today's session. यहाँ पर जो है आपको एक डायग्राम दिख रहा है और उस डायग्राम के जो एक्स एक्सिस पे है आपको कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी दिख रहा है और वाई एक्सिस पे आपको वैल्यू दिख रहा है. एक्स एक्सिस लेफ्ट टू राइट जा रहा है, इसका मतलब कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी कम है लेफ्ट साइड में और राइट साइड में कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी ज्यादा है. कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी मतलब कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी ऑफ द मेथड. ओके, कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी ऑफ द मेथड और कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी ऑफ द टाइप ऑफ एनालिटिक्स. वाई एक्सिस देखेंगे द वैल्यू मिनिमम है यहाँ पर. as you go towards the top, the value is also increasing. Okay, so the first type of analytics that we have here is descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics basically tries to tell you what is happening or what has happened. स्टॉक मार्केट का जब डेटा देखते हैं हम लोग आपको स्टॉक की प्राइस दिखती है. नाउ द स्टॉक प्राइस इज द लाइव प्राइस. You can also see what was yesterday's price. You can also see what was day before yesterday's price. You can also see what was day before that price. You can basically see all the history that is available for that particular stock. Correct? That kind of information is nothing but a descriptive information. It is describing something. It is describing what is happening. It is describing what has happened. Okay. Other examples, अगर आप इलेक्शन के रिजल्ट्स देखते हैं, राइट? इलेक्शन के रिजल्ट्स आ गए हैं बाहर. When you look at the election results, you're looking at the results that have happened. Correct? जो historical results थे वो आप देख रहे. It is just the descriptive analytics. It is trying to describe that this particular party has won this much, this particular party has won this much, this particular party has won this much. Okay, this is all descriptive analytics. जब हम लोग मैच देखते हैं तब मैच में स्कोर्स दिखते हैं हमें, स्कोर बोर्ड वगैरह दिखता है. That scoreboard is nothing but a type of a descriptive analytics or it's trying to describe something. Okay, अगर आप किसी कंपनी का सेल्स का इंफॉर्मेशन ओपन करते हो और उस पर्टिकुलर सेल्स की इंफॉर्मेशन में आपको लास्ट मंथ में कितना सेल्स हुआ, उसके पहले के मंथ में कितना सेल हुआ, उसके पहले के मंथ में कितना सेल हुआ, उसके पहले के मंथ में कितना सेल हुआ. Okay, if you collect all of this information and present it, the type of analytics you're doing is a descriptive analytics. Okay, the purpose of descriptive analytics is to showcase accurate and handy numbers. Okay, जितना ज्यादा accurate numbers है उतने ज्यादा एक्यूरेट आप नंबर कैप्चर करके डिस्क्राइब करना चाहते हो. यू आर जस्ट डिस्क्राइबिंग समथिंग. ओके, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज डिस्क्रिप्टिव एनालिटिक्स. आप सबने कभी ना कभी डिस्क्रिप्टिव एनालिटिक्स किया ही होगा. What could be the other examples of descriptive analytics? Can someone think of it? Anything that we see around us. For example, Yeah, go ahead.
Gold rates.
Gold prices is a example of a descriptive. It is only describing, correct? Live
Yes.
information जो भी gold का it is describing. What else? आप जब कार चलाते हो तब आपको कार की स्पीडोमीटर पे क्या दिखता है? स्पीड दिखता है, करेक्ट? कितने किलोमीटर चल गई ये कार वो दिखता है. दैट इज अगेन अ डिस्क्रिप्टिव एनालिटिक्स. दैट इज जस्ट डिस्क्राइबिंग समथिंग, करेक्ट? सो ऑल ऑफ दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स आर डिस्क्रिप्टिव एनालिटिक्स. इनफैक्ट जो भी रिपोर्ट आप कभी ओपन करके देखोगे, that report is just telling you about descriptive analytics. It is only describing things. Okay. Now, instead of having just the raw data versus something described, something summarized and showcased in a more consumable manner, it is always better. It is going to give you some value. Correct. सिर्फ अगर आपके पास में रॉ डेटा है तो वो रॉ डेटा कुछ मतलब नहीं है जब तक आप उसको समराइज करके प्रेजेंट नहीं करते. ओनली प्रेजेंटिंग इज नॉट इनफ. यू हैव टू प्रेजेंट इट इन सच अ मैनर दैट इट इज कंज्यूमेबल. मतलब अगर जो कोई पढ़ रहा है उनको उनको सबसे पहले तो समझ में आना चाहिए कि ये प्लॉट, ये पर्टिकुलर इंफॉर्मेशन किसके बारे में है. अगर उनको समझ में ही नहीं आएगा then there's no use of that. Correct. So data analyst, business analyst, in fact data scientist are also many times creating these kind of reports and dashboards. हम Tableau tool पढ़ने वाले. The main purpose of Tableau is to build reports, build dashboards, do a descriptive analytics. Okay. The second type of analytics is called as a diagnostic analytics. Diagnostic analytics में क्या होता है? You try to understand why has something happened. You try to answer why. Okay. You try to answer why. जब आप डॉक्टर के पास जाते हो डॉक्टर आपको डायग्नोस करते हैं, correct? He's going to do a diagnostic analytics on you, or he's going to do a diagnostic on you to try to understand what is the root cause of this particular disease and then give you medicine, correct? So diagnostic जो है is coming from there. You can imagine that. रूट कॉज एनालिसिस करना मतलब डायग्नोस्टिक एनालिटिक्स करना. जैसे कि सेल्स के नंबर देख रहे हैं अभी हम. डिस्क्रिप्टिव एनालिटिक्स में हमें पता चल गया कि सेल्स के नंबर्स जो है वो लास्ट मंथ में लेट्स से 200,000 थे, उसके पहले के मंथ में 250,000 थे. नाउ योर डायग्नोस्टिक एनालिटिक्स वुड बी व्हाई हैज द सेल्स ड्रॉप्ड 50,000. कि 2 महीने पहले थे 250,000 और लास्ट मंथ में 200,000 है, तो 50,000 से ड्रॉप हो गया. तो your diagnostic analytics team or your diagnostic insights are going to be about why has this drop occurred. Okay. Now the drop could have occurred because of various reasons. जब भी आपको डायग्नोस्टिक एनालिसिस करना होता है तो आप सबसे पहले क्या करोगे? यू विल गो फॉर द ऑब्वियस रीजंस और यू विल गो एंड ट्राई टू लुक फॉर द ऑब्वियस आंसर्स. अगर सेल्स का डेटा होगा तो ऑब्वियस आंसर क्या होगा? मे बी प्रोडक्ट्स जो आपके मार्केट में जा रहे थे वो कम हो गए, प्रोडक्शन कम हो गया. हो सकता है प्रोडक्ट का डिमांड कम हो रहा है इन द मार्केट. हो सकता है कोई कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोडक्ट आ गया हो जिसकी वजह से आपके प्रोडक्ट्स में ड्रॉप हो रहा है सेल्स में. हो सकता है जो प्रोडक्ट्स पहले बेचे गए थे उनके रिव्यूज अच्छे नहीं आए जिसकी वजह से अभी ड्रॉप हो रहा है, करेक्ट? सो देयर कुड बी वेरियस रीजंस एंड डायग्नोस्टिक एनालिटिक्स इज just trying to figure out what is that particular reason because of which your sales have dropped or because of this particular thing has happened. जो आपने डिस्क्राइब किया है ये डिस्क्रिप्शन ऐसा क्यों दिख रहा है? दैट इज व्हाट इज डायग्नोस्टिक एनालिटिक्स गोइंग टू डू. एग्जांपल्स और क्या क्या हो सकते हैं डायग्नोस्टिक एनालिटिक्स के? फॉर एग्जांपल स्टॉक मार्केट, राइट? स्टॉक मार्केट अभी आपने डिस्क्रिप्टिव एनालिटिक्स में देखा कि स्टॉक मार्केट इज ड्रॉपिंग और मे बी इट्स इंक्रीजिंग. फिर आप डायग्नोस्टिक एनालिटिक्स कर लेते हो खुद ही, करेक्ट? यू विल ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट द रीजंस कि ओके ये ड्रॉप क्यों हो रहा है. ओके इट इज ड्रॉपिंग बिकॉज many people are selling. Okay, why are many people selling? Okay, there was this new news that came out because of which the market has responded negatively to it, correct? So what is the reason behind that? That is the diagnostic analytics. And many of us, in fact, knowingly unknowingly, we have done that kind of analysis earlier too. हमने descriptive भी किया है, हमने diagnostic भी किया है. Only thing is, we didn't know what type of analytics it was. Maybe some of you already knew, but officially that is called as a diagnostic analytics. In companies, many times diagnostic analytics is done on the historical data. जो भी डेटा आपके पास में है वो डेटा सब कैप्चर किया जाएगा एंड देन द एनालिसिस विल बी डन कि डिस्क्राइब किया जाएगा. उसके बाद में the managers will ask ki, okay, why is this occurring, can you go and find out. Then you go on the trail and try to hunt down the reason why that particular thing has happened, which are pretty important because अगर आपको रीजन पता चल गया you can act on that. And in fact that actually translates into dollars directly in company. Okay, that's why data analytics और data science के जो jobs होते हैं they are pretty visible, क्योंकि जो भी काम किया जाता है वो उसके डॉलर्स या फिर उसका इम्पैक्ट दिखाई देता है डायरेक्टली एज कम्पेयर टू अदर जॉब्स. अदर जॉब्स के भी इम्पैक्ट होते हैं बट विजिबिलिटी थोड़ी कम होती है एज कम्पेयर टू डेटा एनालिस्ट एंड डेटा साइंस जॉब्स. Any example of diagnostic that you have done earlier or you think is a type of diagnostic analytics?
Let's say if there is a developer develop the one of the login functionality, okay, login page. Let's say if take the Facebook page of the login functionality, that we have to put the username and the password there. If after creating that functionality, developer that move to the QA, and QA in the QA environment it is also working fine, but let's say in the production environment it is not working fine because of some issue, so they will raise the bug, so developer have to need to check why this is happening. So that is called we can as a root cause, and they have to find why this is happening in the production environment but not in the QA and development environment.
Correct. So what QA did, QA did a or descriptive analytics was submitted and the developer is now tasked with the job to do a root cause analysis.
Right.
That's an example of a diagnostic analytics. Correct. More examples? Yes, we have three Sileys here. Anyone?
सर क्राइम.
Yes. What about crime, Tejas?
सर मतलब कोई भी क्राइम होता है तो जो पुलिस होते हैं उनको एक फाइंड आउट करना पड़ता है कि ये क्राइम क्यों हुआ या मर्डर क्यों हुआ, इसके पीछे का एनी रीजन बिहाइंड दैट.
Mhm. So that is also an example of a diagnostic analytics. Correct. There's a description that the crime has happened, and then there is a investigation why that particular crime basically happened or who basically did that crime. That's also an example of a diagnostic analytics. Okay. अभी मोर डायग्नोस्टिक एनालिसिस के एग्जांपल्स हम लोग देखते हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ जो रिसेंट मॉडल्स अभी डेवलप हो रहे हैं. करेक्ट. वी हैव चैट जीपीटी, we have bought by Google, Gemini is there. So there are new models that are coming out. Correct. जब ये खुद के numbers बाहर बताते हैं, they basically try to tell you about the descriptive. They try to tell you, okay, our model is performing better on this metrics, 98%, 97%, whatever the metric that they decide on. Okay. Now they try to understand, the developers or the makers of it will go and do a diagnostic and try to understand why is it not working on the 3% of times if it is 97%. Correct. That is also an example of a diagnostic. They can also do a diagnostic, try to understand why is it working. Okay. Now if the model is not too complex, it becomes easy to explain why things are working and why things are not working. But if the model is complex or if there's a deep neural network involved, then it becomes really difficult to explain why certain things are happening because there are too many moving things. Right? There are too many moving parts. And then trying to figure out why something is not working or why something is working becomes very difficult. So there are various alerts and then there are various notifications and there are various uh, logs added so that it becomes easy to debug and try to understand why something is working or why something is not working. That's why you have logging in software systems. Correct. that helps you debug. Debugging is also a process of trying to figure out how something is working or how something is not working. Okay, so that is an example of a diagnostic analytics. Next, we have predictive analytics. Now, diagnostic analytics is going to bring more value. Like, only describing is not enough. अगर आप diagnostic भी करते हो, it brings more value on the table. Okay, because now you're talking about why something has happened. Next is predictive analytics. Predictive analytics is going to talk about what is likely to happen. क्या होने वाला है. मोबाइल्स ओपन करते हैं, हमारे फोन्स में वेदर रिपोर्ट आता है. Weather report basically tries to tell you what is going to happen to the weather. Is it going to rain? Is it going to be sunny? What is the temperature? What is the maximum temperature? What is the summer temperature going to be at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock? All of that, correct? That is based on a predictive model. Predictions है वो सब. Okay? वो predictions कैसे किए हैं? Those predictions are done based of the models that are built. We don't know what those models are, but usually they are geo models. Okay, which takes in the weather information. Then there are various sensors placed in various locations जो विंड की स्पीड, टेम्परेचर्स, ह्यूमिडिटी और भी बहुत सारी चीजें कैप्चर करते हैं एंड दे प्रेडिक्ट समथिंग. करेक्ट. सो जो प्रेडिक्शन है दैट बेसिकली इज टॉकिंग अबाउट व्हाट इज लाइकली टू हैपन. ओके, इट इज ओनली टॉकिंग अबाउट व्हाट इज लाइकली टू हैपन. अगर हम लोग बहुत बार सुनते हैं लाइक स्टॉक प्रेडिक्शंस, there will be some pundits who will be talking about stock is going to go 20% up, 20% down based on their own predictions, based on maybe some kind of a technical analysis, based on some kind of a fundamental analysis. Correct? So that prediction is based on historical data. First of all, historical data मतलब पहले जो डेटा अभी तक कलेक्ट किया है वो डेटा के अंदर के पैटर्न्स देख के ही हम लोग फ्यूचर में वो चीज होने वाली है ऐसे प्रेडिक्ट कर सकते हैं. अगर हमें दिख रहा है कि ये पर्टिकुलर स्टॉक ईयर ऑन ईयर 10% ग्रो हो रहा है, तो हमारा एक्सपेक्टेशन क्या है, प्रेडिक्शन क्या रहेगा, नेक्स्ट ईयर, उसके नेक्स्ट ईयर, अगले कुछ साल ये बढ़ते रहेगा 10% के अप्रोक्सीमेटली उतने एक्सपेक्ट वैल्यू थे. करेक्ट. सो दैट इज द प्रेडिक्शन. वो प्रेडिक्शन किसके ऊपर बेस्ड है? इज बेस्ड ऑन द हिस्टोरिकल परफॉर्मेंस. करेक्ट. सो हिस्टोरिकल डेटा जो कलेक्ट किया जाता है, इट इज यूज्ड टू बिल्ड प्रेडिक्शन मॉडल्स. ओके, सेल्स प्रेडिक्शंस करना. Okay, how many customers are you going to get in the next quarter? How many people are going to leave your stop using your product in the next quarter? What is the churn rate? How many people are going to leave the particular company? Okay, so these are some examples of the predictive analytics. Can someone think of more examples of predictive analytics we have seen around us? Correct. हम लोग. Yeah.
uh, let's say if we take the example of the cricket in the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bangalore, the team which will will chase the will bat the second inning. That team will chase most of the time. So that is the
Mhm.
prediction depend on the historical data.
Correct. So based on the historical data, we have seen the team which chases wins. Then on that particular day, whoever wins the toss and then decides to bat first, we'll say that the other team is going to win basically. Correct. Based on the
Yes,
historical data. अभी तक
right.
हुआ नहीं है. Based on the historical data, this is the prediction.
Yeah, we can say it is a
Mhm.
probability.
Yes. We have to be very careful about the term probability, but okay, we can loosely use it for now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So who is going to win? Correct. What is the probability of that particular team winning? We also see win predictor in these days, right? जब हम लोग matches वगैरह देखते हैं, we see that the win predictor changing every over. In fact, it changes every ball, but you maybe are seeing every over. Correct. So that win predictor is also based on certain data, right? Based on historical data and whatever is the current condition of that particular pitch, current condition of that particular game and everything. Correct. So that's also an example of a prediction. जब हम लोग गूगल पे जाते हैं और हम कुछ सर्च करते हैं, ओके, The result that you see in front of you, that is also an example of a prediction. It is predicting that whatever is searched, जो सबसे पहला लिंक है उसके ऊपर क्लिक करने की प्रोबेबिलिटी सबसे ज्यादा है, या फिर द प्रेडिक्शन इज जो टर्म सर्च किया है या फिर जो चीज सर्च की है वो सबसे ज्यादा मैच करता है इस पहले term के साथ. That is a prediction. Correct. Now people might click on the first, or might click on the second, or might click on the third, or might also go in the other pages and try to click there. Correct. So that is also an example of a prediction. Recommendation systems are nothing but predictive systems which are predicting users actions. कि इसको मैं ये दिखाऊं, अगर मेरे पास 10,000 ऑप्शंस है उसमें से मैं सिर्फ 4 ऑप्शंस दिखा रहा हूँ, इसका मतलब मैंने प्रेडिक्ट कर लिया कि ये 4 ऑप्शंस सबसे ज्यादा प्रोबेबिलिटी है क्लिक होने की, इसलिए 4 ऑप्शन ही दिखाई दे रहे हैं. करेक्ट. So that's also an example of a predictive analytics, and we'll learn all of that. Okay, sounds complex, but once we start learning slowly, it will all make sense. Now, predictive analytics is going to bring more value as compared to diagnostic, and because it's on the right side, you see in terms of complexity, it is little bit complex than the diagnostic analytics because it requires some advanced and statistical understanding as the models also. Okay. It also requires data collected. Correct. अगर आपके उसमें data ही collected नहीं है historical, then there's no way that you can build any predictive model because you need some kind of information to even build that predictive model. Right. All right. And the last one, which is one of the most difficult one, is prescriptive analytics. Okay. Prescriptive analytics का मतलब होता है now that you have predicted something, can you change that prediction by doing some action? मतलब अगर आपने प्रेडिक्ट किया है कि आपका सेल्स नेक्स्ट क्वार्टर में 10% से ड्रॉप होने वाला है, ओके, व्हाट इज द प्रिस्क्रिप्शन टू मेक श्योर दैट डजंट हैपन? आप क्या चेंज करोगे आपके बिजनेस में सो दैट द ड्रॉप इज नेवर सीन और द ड्रॉप इज नेवर रियलाइज्ड? दैट इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ अ प्रिस्क्रिप्टिव एनालिटिक्स which brings most value, and it's also one of the most complex thing to do because if you change one thing, that change is also going to affect 10 other things, and you have to be very careful when you change something which is critical without affecting other things. Correct. So इसलिए बहुत सारे कंपनीज में आपको प्रायोरिटी लिस्ट दिखती है, एंड दैट प्रायोरिटी लिस्ट इज बेसिकली ट्राइंग टू टेल यू कि कौन सी चीज पहली चेंज करनी चाहिए. Okay, so that you can get most out of it, and these are just example of prescriptive things. Correct. ये प्रिस्क्राइब की हुई चीजें, ये चीजें चेंज करने हैं आपको क्योंकि उसकी वजह से कुछ फायदा होने वाला है आपको. ओके. हम लोग डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं, डॉक्टर हमें क्या देते हैं? प्रिस्क्रिप्शंस देते हैं. Correct? That's also an example of a prescriptive analytics. They prescribe us some medicine to make us feel better. All right. Can anyone think about the examples of prescriptive?
Sir, earlier I have given the example of the dev and that QA, the functionality is developed by the developer and that is working in the dev environment, QA environment, and but it is not working good in the production environment. So developer will do the root cause analysis, and after that they will got to know like what will corrective action to be taken to not to be that this thing happened twice in the production environment. So we can say that this is the prescriptive action taken by the developer.
So some steps will be taken, some steps will be prescribed. Correct.
Right.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. So what we'll do is we'll stop here for now. Development and improvement. Correct. So we are going to improve things. जो भी improvement है, that is an example of a prescriptive analytics. Okay, you can give more examples. I'm just going to post the Discord link so that you will be able to join. Anyone who has not joined, आप लोग join कर सकते हो Discord server. वहाँ पर मैं recording और slides share कर दूंगा. So if you want, you can click on the link that is shared here. If you want, you can save this particular link and do it later too. ऑलराइट। जब आप लिंक पे क्लिक करोगे तो आपको एक लॉगिन के लिए पूछा जाएगा या फिर साइन अप के लिए पूछा जाएगा अगर आपका अकाउंट नहीं होगा तो डिस्कॉर्ड का। इट इज मच सिमिलर टू एनी अदर social net media or accounts that you have created earlier. So it's not too difficult to create Discord server या फिर Discord users. Only thing is that you just have to click there and you will be landing into the server. And once you land there, you'll have access to things. नेक्स्ट सेशन में मैं डिस्कॉर्ड में चीजें एक्सेसिबल कैसे हैं, वो शेयर कर दूंगा आप लोगों के साथ में। सो मेक श्योर यू जॉइन द डिस्कॉर्ड सर्वर एंड यू आर ऑन देयर फॉर recordings and for the slides. All right. So I think that's it for today, guys. I'll meet you all on Friday, day after tomorrow. Yeah. Any questions? Anyone? Anything that should go in the recording? I'm going to stop the recording so that I can have questions about the course if anyone has any courses. Anyone has any doubts or things like that. All right. So I'm going to stop the recording.